Hey everyone, welcome back to Edu Expert, your smart learning hub. In the midst of a world divided by war, sanctions, and mistrust, a historic meeting took place that captured the attention of millions around the globe. On one side of the table sat the current President of the United States, Donald Trump, and on the other, the long-standing and powerful leader of Russia, Vladimir Putin. The topic of their discussion was one of the most pressing issues of our time: how to put an end to the devastating conflict that has shaken Ukraine, Europe, and the entire global order. The world watched closely because such a meeting was not just about politics, it was about the fate of thousands of lives, the stability of economies, and the possibility of peace in a time when war had become a painful reality. Trump came into the room with a message of negotiation, a desire to cool down the flames of war and find a settlement that could stop the bloodshed. Putin, on the other hand, carried with him the firm stance of Russia, determined to protect what he calls his country's red lines. Yet, in the middle of all this anticipation, one figure was noticeably absent: the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. His empty chair raised a storm of questions across the media. Why was Ukraine not present in a meeting that was, in fact, about Ukraine? The answer lay in Zelensky's clear refusal to attend under the conditions offered. Zelensky believed that this gathering was not giving Ukraine an equal voice. For him, it was unacceptable that two great powers, the United States and Russia, might sit together and decide the future of his country without Ukraine being treated as a true partner. His stance was simple: nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine. To him, joining such a dialogue would only mean endorsing decisions made over his head. There were deeper reasons as well. Putin had made it very clear that his conditions for peace included Ukraine staying out of NATO, limiting its military capabilities, and recognizing certain territorial realities. For Zelensky, accepting such conditions would mean compromising the sovereignty of his nation, something he has repeatedly vowed never to do. By refusing to attend, he sent a symbolic yet powerful message both to his own people and to the world. Ukraine would not bow under pressure, no matter how powerful the players on the other side of the table were. This absence itself became a turning point in the narrative. Trump and Putin continued their talks, discussing possibilities of ceasefires, humanitarian corridors, and frameworks for de-escalation. Trump tried to frame the dialogue as a bridge, a chance to stop the suffering and bring both sides closer to stability. Putin, firm as ever, emphasized Russia's need for security guarantees. But without Ukraine's direct involvement, the talks carried an air of incompleteness, as if a vital piece of the puzzle was missing. Analysts later described this moment as a complex dance of power and diplomacy. Trump aimed to present himself as a peacemaker, willing to use his influence to calm the storm. Putin aimed to show that Russia could still shape the world order on its own terms. And Zelensky, by staying away, aimed to show that Ukraine would not be reduced to a silent spectator in matters of its own destiny. The story of this meeting is not just about leaders and politics. It is also about principles, about sovereignty, equality, and the cost of peace. Can peace be achieved if one of the main players refuses to sit at the table? Can a compromise be reached when each side holds its ground so firmly? These are the questions that remain open, long after the cameras stopped rolling and the leaders returned to their capitals. What is clear, however, is that this chapter revealed the deep divisions and the stubborn hopes that define today's world politics. Trump and Putin showed a willingness to talk, but Zelensky's absence reminded the world that no true solution can ignore the voice of the very nation at the center of the conflict.